Hi there. I've been revisiting Hunter x Hunter in the back of my mind for the last little while now, ever since I finished catching up on One Piece. As a little background, I started Hunter x Hunter around March of this year as a way to pass the time before I took a vacation to meet with my girlfriend. That said, in the back of my mind, everything that I liked about Hunter x Hunter kind of got pushed down by the overwhelming absoluteness that is One Piece. So, after having finished One Piece, it felt only logical to look back on Hunter x Hunter and the reasons I fell in love with it. While there are many characters in Hunter x Hunter I personally find memorable, Hisoka is among the top just because of how unorthodox he is as a character. I mean, he's mysterious, he's cunning, he's a little flamboyant, he's really fucking weird, and notably, he's driven by a motivation that is very unusual for antagonists of his archetype. So, if you will, I'd like to sit down and go over a few reasons why I find Hisoka not only a memorable character, but a quite compelling character at that. I would classify aura as the idea of an intangible energy that a character exudes just by how they carry themselves. Now, in regard to that definition that I just provided, how does Hisoka have aura? Throughout the whole of Hunter x Hunter, Hisoka carries himself in a specific way that is reminiscent of his overall desire to live for the fight. But he doesn't just live for the fight, he lives to tear down powerful opponents because he believes just that much in his strength and ability to take them down. Now, for a guy who gets rapidly outpaced strength-wise by a lot of characters introduced after him, he somehow manages to maintain this air of superiority because he believes so much in his superiority that you're convinced of it yourself. This is because of his regular presence and consistent reinforcement of his philosophies, also known as with how Hisoka is antagonistic towards Gon during the Hunter exam and the Heaven's Arena arcs, you'd expect him to be an antagonist for the series going forward. What was harder to see coming was that Hisoka would take on a supportive role during the dodgeball fight against Razor in Greed Island. Despite Hisoka giving off this menacing aura that mostly villains have, he isn't actually a villainous character. While we see him doing some pretty villainous things and thinking some pretty villainous things, at the end of the day, he's almost a protagonist in his own right with how he begins to assist the main characters after his original role as an antagonist, keeping in mind that he isn't necessarily a good guy, but he's willing to do good things if it gets closer to his goals. I would argue thusly that Hisoka's appeal somewhat lies in the fact that his character can flip on a dime and that you never truly know what he's thinking. Sure, you know he's doing whatever he does because it will eventually lead him to the fight of his life, but how he gets there is a little more nebulous. Even when Hisoka was directly antagonistic to Gon and Killua during the Heaven's Arena arc, the way he was acting directly assisted the two in learning Nen and getting to a position in which they could eventually tackle Greed Island. Despite sliding all around the scale of protagonist and antagonist, Hisoka is ultimately consistent in his morals and what he works towards. A really memorable element of how Hisoka is characterized comes down to the way the story compares him and Gon in the question of what it means to be a hunter. While on the surface, Gon and Hisoka seem different, with how the story presents its ideas, the two share a lot more in common than you'd initially expect. Like, yeah, Hisoka is a 30-something clown psychopath, and Gon is a freakishly strong 12-year-old. What could possibly make the two similar to one another? Well, beyond for examples like Gon taking a similar pose to Hisoka during the Chimera Ant arc, Hisoka and Gon are ultimately two examples of what it means to do whatever you want to achieve whatever you want. The kind of strength cultivated by the Hunters Association in Hunter x Hunter is a kind of strength that is ultimately uncontested. And when someone proves uncontested, even their most innocent of desires can become twisted in a manner that is actively detrimental to those around them. The world of Hunter x Hunter is one that ultimately rewards being selfish. Hisoka acts selfishly because it's what he wants and because nobody can stop him. Gon acts similarly to Hisoka in the fact that he will selfishly chase any goal that he wants, hell or high water, and nobody can stop him. But because he's the main character, we are more inclined to assume that his perspective comes from one of moral good. With great power comes great responsibility, as well as the ability to choose to use that power for selfish gain.
いい君すごくいいよその瞳その表情その心意気今すぐ君を壊したい
While any character is motivated by varying forms of desire, Hisoka is notable in how hedonistic his desires are specifically. The word I can best use to describe Hisoka is that of a predator, simply because he lives for the thrill of blood running through his hands and will actively go out of his way to set himself or others up to be in a position where he can overcome them in a fight. The stronger the opponent, the harder the fight, the harder Hisoka gets. And that is why Hisoka is my favorite freak in all of anime.